And
That's your finger on
no.
the lens.
There you go.
See the lens there, Joy?
Yeah, yeah. Now you're gonna see my stomach.
You're gonna want to sit down here or stand up. Okay, I'm out of it.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay, so here's the metaphor. The metaphor is consistent with what we put up here a minute ago about endings, transitions in the 6x9 grid, and new beginnings. Okay? So the new beginnings, if you envision when everyone from the class is over here, they will be in the land of leadership. Okay? You'll have transitioned successfully only when everyone has made it from where they are now in the ending zone through the transition zone of new beginnings over here. Is that clear? Everyone has to make it through the zone over here. Okay? So in finding the path, emerging, almost like from a chaos theory standpoint, the pattern will emerge from the floor. Okay? In order to support you through the transition of this change, letting go of being over there, working your way through the path, finding the path, getting over here, we have created about 8 rules, okay? And these rules are there to help you be successful. Your tendency will be to resist these rules, thinking that they're inhibiting your performance, but in fact the opposite is true. So you need to choose to believe that these rules are here for your benefit, okay? All right, so the rules and the setup work like this. You're going to have 10 minutes to plan. After I get through the rules, you'll ask me some questions. When I'm kind of fed up with the questions, you'll have 10 minutes to plan. Okay? You're going to make an attempt to find the path after your planning period, and you're going to have 10 minutes, you're going to have 10 minutes to do that. 10 minutes to plan. Once you're ready to begin, 10 minutes to find the path and bring everyone through the transition zone over to leadership land. Okay? Now, once you enter the transition zone for any reason at any point in time, there is no talking for the next 10 minutes. Okay? When you step into a square, you're going to receive feedback. I'll come back and talk about feedback in a minute. When you step into a square, depending on the type of feedback you get, you're going to do one of two things. Either you're going to begin to exit the zone because that square is not part of the path, or if the feedback indicates it is part of the path, you'll step to an adjacent square and continue, and you'll get feedback. And so with each step into an adjacent square, you'll get feedback, is that part of the path or not? Okay? So, you must step into the square with both feet to receive feedback. The feedback will sound like this when it is not part of the path. Okay? So when you hear that noise, that feedback indicates it is not part of the path, and now you must exit by the manner of squares with which you've gotten to a point. Does that make sense? So you go back off the same way you came, to the same squares. Okay? Okay. Feedback. After you hear the feedback boing, you must exit the zone to allow another member to help find the path. So everyone must rotate. There are no wallflowers here. Everyone must experience the zone, okay? And help find the path, okay? When you step into a square and you go to an adjacent square, there's no row jumping or column jumping. You can't go from here up to there, okay? You hear the beep or the boink, you get off the same way you came. If you hear a boing on the way off, that's a 10-second penalty because you picked a square that wasn't part of the path on the way in. So if you hit one that's not part of the path on the way, you hear another boing, 10-second penalty. No breadcrumbs, no writing of any kind regarding the path. You have more than enough resources. You do not need writing instruments or breadcrumbs or candy wrappers, or pieces of paper like this one to remind you
But can we write here?
No writing of any kind.
Adding paper outside of the grid?
No writing of any kind on anything. Okay? No photographing. Videotaping is okay from up here. Okay? So everyone must rotate until the path is found, okay? Until the path is found, everyone's rotating and there's one person out there until the path is found. Okay, so those are the rules. Let me hang these up for your reading pleasure. Any questions before the 10-minute planning period begins? Question number 1.
So does one person go at a time?
Yes, I think I said that. That was a good question.
When we discovered the path, then just everyone follows, that's it?
I guess if you remember it.
Yeah. Once you know the path.
Do sounds count as talking?
There's no talking. What would be an example of a sound that's not talking?
Like a whistle?
Wait, I thought there was no talking in the
There's
transition
no
zone.
Spanish, there's no English, there's no Chinese, there's no language of any kind in terms of voice, word, sentence kind of talking. Talking, talking, conversational, instructional talking. No talking.
Gestures?
Pardon me?
Gestures?
I'm not worried about sign language because I don't think there's enough people for it to matter. Okay?
We move front, right, and diagonal.
Step to an adjacent square. Okay? Mohammed, did you have a question?
Body language?
Pardon me?
Body language.
No Arabic, no Farsi, no nothing. Okay? If I left any out, Hindi, no dialects,
But noise is okay then.
no talking.
But it's not talking.
Just don't show now.
What if you were like clapping? Or like other than on house table?
I don't think I have to determine if clapping is talking. Okay, next question.
Will you receive feedback if you are on the right path, or just negative feedback when you're not on the path?
There's feedback all around us. There is the boing feedback, and then there is all other feedback. And unless you hear it boing, then you have to process the feedback. Now, there might be people on the sides of this thing giving you feedback.
I thought there was no talk.
There is no talking. Doesn't have anything to do with feedback.
How has the path been decided?
It will emerge. You will find it. Now, this raises a good point, okay? This is very important. You have to believe that once you are done planning and you step into the zone, that me and the boing are not the professor with the answer, okay? It's you, the board, and feedback, okay? So don't get pissed at me. Good question. Okay. I'm assuming that we'll go 10 minutes of planning. So you can start anytime between now and 20 after 8. Don't step in there. If you step in there, I'll call you on it, and that will start the clock, okay? So you got up to 10 minutes. You can stop planning whenever you want. But you have to stop at 8:20. Okay? Plan away.
Okay, but I think I got an idea of like first person can start from first box. We'll go from left to right. So for first row, we'll go from left to right. If we found the right box, then we'll step to the next box. So probably that will work.
Why would we go left to right if the goal is to go that way?
What?
Why would we go left to right if the goal is to
Anyway,
go
we can-
this way to that way?
Anyway, you can start from anywhere. You can start from right to left. Anyway, because we don't know the right path, we don't know the right boxes, so we have to start from somewhere.
No, I agree, but wouldn't you want to go forward first?
Well, you have to
I
find
think
the first
he means
one.
the first block.
The first
And then,
Once
I got
you find
it.
the first block,
You said approach the rest
well,
of
finish
it.
the start is on this side.
Agreed.
Okay, but the thing is, can we, like, if this is the right box, and it's the next? Okay, yeah, this is what.
Well, if this is the right box, this doesn't mean that this one in front is the right box.
It might be this way.
Yeah.
We just all have to.
No, I was just going, I was just
So
thinking
the second
about
person just.
not crossing these rows and.
That's also
I think
making the
this is
assumption
what-
though that the path's static.
Yeah, that's
Could
what I
be
was gonna say.
dynamic.
What if it changes every time you hear it pulling?
Oh,
We've now blown
that would
it.
be so
Maybe there's a
frustrating.
pattern to everything that we have to watch for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
important, everyone watches
Very
what
good
they do.
point.
Because we cannot talk, and every time has to go to the next person, so it's really important that everyone watches.
So
Just
maybe
use
we need
that.
to spread out,
Yes and no.
so.
To see if it's dynamic or not, if you move to a square and it's wrong, you're supposed to get back, try to move in again to the same square to see if it's wrong again. That could be an option to test.
Well, but that's what he said, if you hear boing, and you make another mistake, then you get 10 seconds off. So that's the issue.
I can't believe
That's
this
a
model
square.
is gonna be this difficult. It can't be done. It's gonna be static.
No, it's a pattern.
It's a pattern.
So think of it as
Based on what we read, yeah.
it's a system and we have feedback, so we have to pay attention to the feedback. I don't know what it's gonna be. I mean, it could be I don't wanna even say, because I don't wanna put any thoughts in people's minds. Just how are we gonna be able to communicate to each other without talking?
Signs. Not.
One, left, right.
Or maybe you can actually do it on your, like,
We can
to
do
avoid
it
that
on
10-second penalty, whoever feels that he knows the right path, I mean, he has remembered the path, he can step in and,
But we have to change. That's
yeah,
the
we have to
thing.
change, but the person who has not tried,
We have like a short stop.
So, do you guys want, do we wanna put an order together? Like, do we wanna already have a set order for people to go and that we can all see what's happening? Because if we all stand here, we might not all be able to see. what-
Right, I think we
yeah,
have to
we
spread out,
can,
right?
yeah.
We need to gather.
Okay, I think you told us to help, okay. Or we did, we just have.
Yeah,
I'm not saying do it now, I'm just asking.
The other thing I say is, no one can be past this edge of the tape at any point in time until everyone's over you. You know, so spreading out is an okay question up to that point. You can't come over where I am.
But we can be here.
But how do we then make kind of a rule of rotation? Should we just go on this side, this side?
How about each person take one from this side to be guided? To remember every square.
Okay, but still you have too many people, because then you will have 18 and 6. You'll have 24 places, 24, 9, 9, 6. And still probably be outstanding. I mean, we can try to spread, but still there's some people who will probably be in the back.
Can I ask another question? Can we have more than one people in this box at a time?
Only one person at a time to the grid.
Completely?
Yep.
How are we looking at the grid though?
Why don't we label it, like,
We
from,
can,
No.
we can't, no, but like, we all know it in our head, like, from left to right this way, it's 1 through 6, and then from top to bottom that way, it's A through whatever the 9th letter of the alphabet is. And then that way, it's like a chessboard. Yeah, you can say
Sure.
move to,
How are you gonna create it?
well, the person inside can't say it, but the people around.
no,
can.
no problem at all.
You can hold up there.
But it's the point, if you do numbers this way and numbers this way, you could hold up fingers.
A, B, C.
One through 6, 1 through 9. First number, then second number.
Oh, yeah, this would be the number, so we can show.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes left, right? We have to finish up our thought process.
I like the idea of somebody keeping an idea on each of the rows and each of the columns.
If somebody keeps an idea, that somebody cannot communicate, I think unfortunately we all have to do it for it. Because we can't, like, even if you're not in the grid, you cannot communicate it. Because like if I'm keeping score, I can't tell you.
But if I'm standing here, this row.
What if when we figure out this row, someone stands here, like, I'll stand here with 2, so that means you step on 2, and then once we figure out this
I
row.
like that.
This is what I'm
Perfect.
Yeah, but
But
once
the
the path is changing each
Yeah,
time.
another person.
Well, I think, did he say that we would only get feedback if